Hello, Mr. Magno. How are you doing today?
Hey, hey. Good.
I was having lunch this afternoon and I was going to write some questions out, but all of a sudden something came to me about the subject of vibration. So I wanted to kind of get into that and begin with what is vibration in regards to living beings and how it affects us and all of that.
Well, apparently everything is vibrating, and that's how we perceive everything through the five senses. And for example, thought vibrates at very high degree of frequency. If a thought might get from here to the moon, maybe in a couple of hours or something like that. I don't know, but
So what would you tell the people that are watching? What is frequency?
frequency is how many vibrations per second. For example, A, the note A, La, in the United States, all the orchestras tuned to 440 vibrations per second. That's the vibration of the sound.
Right.
So, that's frequency is how many vibrations per second.
Okay. So getting back to vibration and how it affects different people, there are some people that vibrate at higher frequencies, correct?
Absolutely.
And isn't that what we're talking about? Raising our vibration in this study.
That's right.
So, what would you recommend as far as being able to do that?
Well, what we're doing right now on the path of hidden knowledge is learning about the physical, about the metaphysical, learning how the mind works, not by what psychology says. This is a whole different thing. All knowledge is there within us. All we have to do is think about it deeply and you get the answers.
Now, we talked about knowledge, right? And wisdom being somewhat different from what knowledge is, correct?
Yeah, I would say wisdom is the employment of knowledge. You have the knowledge and now you employ that knowledge and you get a result, and that's the wisdom. That's why they say that old people like me have the wisdom. And I'm old. Although I don't look it, but I'm pretty old.
So, can we get into some principles of the magnetic mind, intelligence, and reason?
Sure. How would you like to start?
However, you would like to speak.
You mentioned intelligence, reason, and what else?
Um, yeah, the
Oh,
magnetic mind, intelligence, and
right, so
reason.
people don't get confused. The
Right.
magnetic mind is the same thing as the subconscious mind. The intelligence and reasoning, you remember we talked about the birth process, very, very important. The baby develops all the senses gradually, all the five senses, and then his experiences of the physical world become recorded on this piece of meat inside the head called the brain, just like a CD. Now, the being, who is a nothingness, who is consciousness, it's not a thing at all, can look at these physical scratches on the brain and see all the happenings that had to do with all of the five senses. And memory, that's where memory comes from. Now he uses memory and compares the recordings of the past to what he's perceiving in the present and reaches a decision or conclusion about what the truth is for him in terms of his own survival. In other words, he reasons in such a way that allows him to survive better, to make his life better. And everybody does that. They don't have to be educated or anything. That's what they're doing. Now, evil people are probably reasoning as to how to get money without working, or maybe robbing. But that's their survival. And everybody is at a different state of vibration. That's why you have malevolence and benevolence.
So, so what if you're having a bad day, right? You're having
Okay.
you're having a bad day today, right?
Okay.
So your vibration's got to drop, correct? You're going to be vibrating at a much lower frequency.
Well, this is very interesting because, and this is the difference between the person on the path and the person out of the path. A person goes to college, he has a PhD, he's a psychologist, he's a doctor, he's got all the PhDs in the world which don't mean anything. And he has a bad day and he falls for it. He has a bad day. He doesn't know what to do. He does the best he can, the majority. But those who are on this path, they reach, after a while, they reach a point where whatever is. And they accept what is with a certain equanimity. They also realize the secret law that comes on much later in the course, that nobody's to blame for anything.
So basically, even if something goes wrong, they bounce back much quicker, right, than someone?
They don't have to bounce back because they are in a state of observation every moment.
So if something goes wrong, they just observe it. There
observe
is no reaction.
Hardly any reaction at all, if they're well prepared. Now, in the beginning, it's not like that, but a little bit later, you get used to seeing what is. For example, well, like fear, as we spoke before, we have one 85%er on this side and one on the path on this side. And the 85%er experiences fear and it just kills him. I mean, he sees an accident on the street, he's all filled with fear, he can't operate properly. The other guy, he's human too, he feels the same thing, but he, through understanding, not willpower, through understanding, understands that things like that do happen once in a while in life. And if that guy got into the bad accident, most likely he was not totally 100% there. And that's why we do that exercise on being there totally.
Right. Now, when you're working on your computer, right, and something doesn't work right, what do you observe the things that go wrong, and you just you don't lose your temper or anything when you find how this technology sometimes it just doesn't work. How do you observe that?
Well, I used to get very angry.
Yeah.
I think I spoke with you on that also. I used to have so much anger at those 85%, the herd. And as I told you before, I'm not exactly in love with them, but they have their right to live because they were created by the same force that created me. So I may be uncomfortable for a little while. I'm having this problem. I don't like it. I'm wasting time here with this thing. The next question is, what can I do about it? Nobody else is going to do it for me.
Right. So that brings your vibration back up.
For sure.
Yeah.
Makes me realize what we also spoke about before, that we are all images of that huge consciousness that was, is, and will always be. And he even says in the old musty books that we were created in its likeness.
Right.
So if we were, then we have total power.
Yeah.
Maybe not in quantity yet, but in quality.
Yeah. Well, isn't that what they mean by when we're living in the flow or in the zone? We're connected to that source, right?
What does that mean?
The expression, you're in the zone. You're like really connected, and everything seems to be working and happening very freely, without any resistance.
That's what it's meant by being in the zone?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because you understand.
Yeah.
It's all understanding. It's understanding.
And it's letting go of those things from the past that no longer interfere with your ability.
Well, now there, for example, as you know in this course, the first thing we do is course number 1, which is a complete life review. So we do that to make sure that there aren't moments of pain that have become trapped in the subconscious mind, because the subconscious mind, although it's a benevolent, wise, magnificent mind, it is like a child, innocent like a child. And whatever you want it to do, you tell it. That's why affirmations work. And it does it for you. On the other hand, if you deliberately tell that magnetic mind, the subconscious, something you want it to do, but it knows that it is against your body, you get filled with guilt. That's what guilt is. You know you shouldn't do it, but you do it. Your subconscious told you that. However, there are forms of guilt that are based on lies. Shouldn't be guilty at all. So there's all kinds of these things, and you have to discover all of this by yourself. Don't believe me or anybody. Listen to what we have to say, and then think for yourself. And that's what it's about.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to ask you a few more questions. If you left this world tomorrow, what could most accurately be inscribed on your tombstone as a summary of the way you would have lived your life and the way you touched the world?
Never think of those things.
Yeah.
Why do people write things on tombstones? This flesh is going into the ground. You must go on. If you've ever experienced being outside of the body, it's ecstatic. orgasmic. So that's what you're interested in. Who wants to? My books, yeah. The books I've written, my ideas that people use nowadays, yeah, they should have that. For example, Dr. Nathaniel Brandon, who I have had a great respect for, he died last week. Well, you were the one that told me first. And apparently, Mrs. Nathaniel Brandon wrote something on Facebook to the effect that the article they wrote in LA Times was not very favorable about the passing of Dr. Nathaniel Brandon. Well, I was going to write to her, but we all know that newspapers are into sensationalism. That's how they make money. Don't you know this world is all about money? 1 in a million people has an inkling as to the purpose in life. And the purpose of life is not to make money. It's good. I'm not saying that it's bad to make money. No, you should be rewarded for all your work. No question about it. But if people do everything just for money, and then they have the money, and then the fame, the power, all of this stuff, even some rich people get to a point when they're old, they say, so I got all this money, so what? Instead of finding out who they are. Now, if a human being like you and me, we have a body, we have minds, we have souls, we have the subconscious mind is the mind of the soul, and it's very complex. So we've got to find out, what is this? What is it? Who am I? I got a body. I don't beat my own heart. What's going on here? And then the musty books tell me that somebody sitting on a cloud has decided this for you. They created you. And when Darwin came along with his the evolvement of the species, they wanted to get rid of him. Anybody that comes up with the truth, they want to get rid of him because they start thinking they can't make money anymore. That's why the medical profession is changing now, because people are getting wising up, but the medical profession doesn't like natural treatments. And that's the only thing that works in illness is natural treatments. I'm not saying an emergency, if it's a temporary thing to save a life, that's okay. But no, because you cannot copyright. Is that the word, copyright? A natural drug, something natural like garlic. You can't
market it,
no,
sell it like a drug.
Copyright is for books.
Yeah.
You can't patent it.
Patent, no, right.
Yeah, you can't patent it.
Right.
So you can't patent, they can't sell it.
Yeah, well.
They're not going to make any money. So
right.
This is the whole thing. That's the whole thing.
So how?
It's so
yeah.
very clear. Very clear to me.
So how do we discover the truth here? By observation?
Observation? Well, that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
You discover the truth not by believing others, but by listening, as we are doing now, And studying this course, and even what Edgar Lee says in his books, and what I say in my books, even that you can't believe. You just do it, observe, try it, see if it works for you. And that's how you become an independent existence, which is yet connected to the whole consciousness of the universe.
So, in closing, have you accomplished what you wanted to, and what would you need to do to feel a greater sense of accomplishment?
Well, when I look back, I have no regrets at all.
Yeah.
I've been very busy all my life. I mean, I when I go back and I see the things I've done, like graduating from college with no food to eat, that is quite a job.
Yeah.
I decided which are the three foods that I can eat every day that are very cheap.
Right.
And I decided on yogurt, bread, and butter. And I had that sometimes 3 times a day. I mean, I've done all these things, and I'm not angry about it. I accomplished everything. Now, I used to have a lot of anger about other people that stood in my way.
Right.
And wanted to make life miserable for me. But I always had this conviction that nothing could affect me negatively. My father taught me that. He initiated me, as I told you, when I was 6 years old, and put that in my mind. He said, no, as long as you are in tune with a whole. Of course, he didn't use the word whole, he used the word God. But I don't like to use the word God too much because people don't know what God is. And when somebody asks me something about, do you believe in God? I say, I don't know. What do you mean by God? Everybody has a different concept. So he used the word God because in general people believe that it is a wise divinity or something like that. And I've lived like that all my life. Nothing bad ever happened to me. I've never gotten sick, except for this last year fiasco that I stepped on a piece of plastic and infected, and I had to have that little operation. So I have nothing to regret.
Yeah. So it's really maintaining that connection with Source that
Yes.
that allows your vibration to be at a higher level.
Yes.
Yeah.
Source is the word. Source. And even so, people will try very hard to make you guilty for having done certain things. And the certain things that everybody feels guilty about, I don't feel guilty about because there's nothing to feel guilty about. They have taken a natural law like the attraction of the genders in sex, and they turned it into some kind of a sin or something. That's not all. That's just one of them. And people go around all full of guilt about all these things.
Okay. Well.
So everything is you. And as long as you are benevolent and you have the goodwill in your mind for everybody and everything, and you consider your body a friend, everything will be fine.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right.
We had a good class today, too.